Morning, morning.
Welcome to the May 16th meeting. We have a full agenda today, and so we're going to try to stick to the time frames on here. I want to welcome everybody, and we're going to start the meeting with a prayer. Supervisor Williams, would you start us this morning?
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we come before you with thanks in our heart. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for this day. We thank you for the opportunity to serve the people of Octavia County. We pray, oh Heavenly Father, that we will serve well as we go about our business of being supervisors. Father, we pray for those individuals who are encountering their families, who are encountering senseless killing all over America. Not only that, we pray for the hearts of those individuals who commit such a crime. Father, we pray for our county, and we thank you for what you've already done. We pray, oh Father, for our military personnel who fight that we may continue to enjoy freedom in the United States, and not only that, Father, all over this world. Father, we pray for each and every board member. We pray for their families as they go in and out. This is our prayer. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Supervisor Williams. We're now going to open the floor to citizen comment period. It's 3 minutes per person. Please stand if you have a comment and state your name and begin. Anybody in here would like to make a comment? We'd welcome you. No one? All right, then Senator Williams, your turn.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate it. Right here where y'all want me to get?
That's perfect. You want to sit or stand? You're fine.
I'll talk, and I'll try to be brief. Told I only had 10 minutes, so we'll see if we can beat that. My primary reason is legislative update. I'm glad to talk about that in any detail that y'all might want to, but I had the honor and privilege of sitting on the ARPA committee when we were trying to allocate all the funds and stuff. We allocated $1.5 billion that we legislatively came out with, and I kind of wanted to go a little bit in the weeds on that as it pertains to water and a couple of different bills that are out there. I know Representative Robertson's probably done a great job on the other things. To talk a little bit about that, we've got several buckets of money, if you will. We've got a $450 million appropriation for cities and counties. That's where the money we're talking about here would be appropriated. $50 million of that are for cities and counties that receive less than $1 million of ARPA money. We got more than that, thank goodness. There's $400 million that's available to be matched. That means there's another $400 million. If the county has projects that qualify under that, which would be water, wastewater, runoff, that's the basic criteria. We allocated that $400 million for that. DEQ is promulgating the rules. They should be ready in the next few weeks. If you've got people there, ask them the specifics of it. So I may draw some assumptions if you have some questions for me today as I understood it, as we legislated it, but they will have the say in the rules and how things are done. Rural water is another bucket of money. It's $300 million that are being allocated. This is not a match situation. A rural water association can apply for this money and get it without a match. Originally, in most of the conversations, it was going to be a match situation, but some of the associations would have had a problem coming up with it. So there is no match. That's 100% money that's available for that. The health department is who's promulgating the rules for that. July 1 is when these bills become law, so the monies will be written after that. These rules and everything will be set up in the interim for that. If I can help in any way facilitate that, I'll be glad to, but those people and those agencies are who you need to talk to for those dollars, I think. What I've said throughout the water associations in District 15, I've tried to reach out to, talk to a lot of projects within them that I know of. It's probably some I may not know of, and even if it's Octavia County within it, if I can help in any way, you know I will. But the term shovel ready. When these rules are ready, if we got $300 million in rural water, we got $400 million in cities and counties, I guarantee the ask is going to be greater than that. So how do we deal with that? I can't say how it's going to be graded, but I know shovel ready is a term we've heard throughout the conversation. If you've got an engineering document and you're ready to start construction on these projects July the 1st, I think that's going to raise you in the judging criteria on that. So if you've got projects that are out there that way, that's great. You're there. If you're not, you can get them there over the next couple of months, next month or two. You know, July 1 is just a month and a half away. I think that's, in my opinion, essential. That's a very brief. I can give you the bill numbers, any of that piece I can help you with, or any questions that pertain to this?
So we need to reach out to Mr. McKercher for the MDEQ or for the water, so
Yes.
we know more
Bill
details
Moody's
about
guy,
that.
MDHS, if y'all got people that you do communicate with there, I would suggest asking them.
Okay.
I've reached out to them and they're just saying we're in the process of promulgating the rules, which is good. I think it's gonna be a fair distribution of the money. It's not a favor type thing, or somebody knows somebody. It's gonna be graded, which gives everybody a good chance. I know in my district, there's probably $10–15 million of rural water asks that I've worked with in trying to make sure they were ready, to do things, so. But time is of the essence with this. I would reach out to respectively DEQ and DHS if y'all got projects that would qualify for these dollars. And again, I'm 2 sessions in, but it seems like this is lifetime money. We may not see this. I know in my long career, it's the most I've ever seen. So,
Senator Williams.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming, first of all, to
thank you
speak
for
to
having
us.
me. It's an honor to be here.
And I heard you say that there's $300 million allocated for rural water.
That's correct.
I do know Center Grove Water Association
Very familiar with that.
is in need of expanding there because they can't take on any more customers. So it was good to hear that. Also, I heard you mention about the ARPA funding, and,
Yes, sir.
and as you know, you may not know that the board has allocated our ARPA funding was a little over $9 million to the repair of the County Lake Dam. But I thought I heard you say something about runoff water. In your guesstimation, do you think that would qualify and we might be able to get matching funds toward that?
Again, this is my opinion, but yes, I think that our lake, the water it runs off, that is runoff water, so it should qualify under the ARPA criteria. That ultimately will be determined by DEQ. They will answer that question. But, if you've got ability to take that $9 million and get a match with whatever projects y'all deem that, that's a 2-for-1 return on investment right out of the gate. And with the rural water, $300 million out there, there's monies for the water associations as well. Senator Grove, I'm somewhat intimately involved with that project and have dealt with that engineer, and we have a shovel-ready, or a couple months ago, we had a shovel-ready project, and I hope that's one of the ones that'll end up at the top of the list. Longview's another one, Bradley's another one, Sturgis, those, I've reached out to those people, and trying to, I'm a facilitator, just trying to connect the dots. Another thing, I'm glad I almost forgot, next Tuesday in Jackson at the Sheraton, there is the Water Finance Exchange. There's a conference, Communities Unlimited. I can leave this with you guys. This is, I think it's a nonprofit, but it helps rural water associations and water throughout Mississippi. If you're in each of your respective districts, if the water associations don't know about this, you might make them aware. It's going to be several panel discussions. Mr. Moody's going to be there. The director of DEQ is going to be there. They've got a boring senator that's going to be there for a few minutes, but he won't be long. But it's just, what I find is information, sharing information, understanding what resources are there. Obviously, that will speak to what I spoke to this morning, but you got federal funds that are out there. You've got all kinds of funding sources that are out there. Again, we live in a moment with a lot of dollars available for infrastructure that haven't been available. We're going to look up 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and those dollars they'll go away, in my opinion. I hope they don't, but I think they will. So this is that moment we need to seize that other funding options that may be available outside of what I've mentioned. Y'all may know plenty that I don't. Now, my job with associations, the rural water associations, with you as supervisors, is to try to help facilitate that as much as I can. And that's another sourcing. And they even work with, when we thought that we were going to have a matching situation with rural water, they were going to be able to work with those guys, and still can, to find those federal dollars so they could have a match. But there again, you may put in a grant $3 million for rural water and get $1 million of it, $2 million of it, if there's a deficit, and we can get, there's another funding source, all the pieces, You get it.
Good to know.
Anybody else?
Senator Williams, again, thank you for being present this
Yes, sir.
morning. What I'm finding out in rural water situations is these lines were installed back in 1969 for most people, and when they were installed, there were very few individuals living on a particular roadway, and those lines were put in some like 1.5-inch lines.
Mm-hmm.
But now you got probably 15 families that lines were really to accommodate was really to accommodate one family. So will those situations be given any type of attention, you think,
That's
to
the
increase the
NDHS question.
size of those lines to accommodate the increase in population?
I would assume when you use the term economic development and growth, where we have growth tracks, center growth,
Right.
for instance, we're at capacity, and we see that as a growth track for Octavia County. I know Longview's a situation, Bradley's a situation that I'm intimately familiar with, the other parts of the county as well. I think that's gonna come into the way.
Right.
I mean, if you've got a line that's out that somebody owns 4,000 acres of farmland and they wanna upgrade a tower versus you've got, 10,000 acres you're fixing to feed, that we have subdivisions developing, I'm thinking that,
Right.
again, if I'm one of the decision makers, that's gonna be weighed a little bit differently, I would think. We wanna service everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're at an end of life with a lot of infrastructure that was there, and I would think that would come into play with it, yes, sir.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you.
We
Thank y'all
appreciate
for having
it.
me.
Thank you so much.
Y'all know how to get me, call me, I'm here to serve you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate all you do. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate your
Senator.
time. Election Commission, Greg?
All right, how y'all this morning?
Good, how are you this morning?
All right. Only thing, we've done the redistricting, we moved and took in the storm shelter. I forget what the name of it is, but, so we could move the west off of voting precinct. But in the redistricting, somehow that got missed, so we needed a board order stating permission to move it so we could get that Secretary of State's office.
Okay, say that again, you need a board order to,
Move it's at the National Guard Armory now.
to
And-
move it to
to
the,
move
safe
to
room.
to the safe room.
That's it.
Okay, so, but that actually is in District One.
Right, it'll
So the
take
board
no
order needs to
population.
say to move, the voting district in District One from the Armory to the safe room.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I get a motion on that, please?
I'll make that
All right,
motion.
Supervisor Montgomery and seconded by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Y'all
Mr.
have a
President.
good day.
Yes, sir.
Spencer, grant
Good morning.
application. Good morning.
Good morning.
Have a couple things for you this morning. Chief Deputy contacted me a couple weeks ago, and there's a grant opening up, and it closes the end of June for bulletproof vest. The county has taken advantage of that grant before. He got a quote for new bulletproof vests for 24 individuals. The total quote is $19,564.08. This is a 50-50 grant. The county will have to pay 100% up front, and then we will request reimbursement from the government. The reimbursement takes a little while, so just want everybody to be aware you will be out the full amount for a little while before the reimbursement comes in. So I have a resolution here today authorizing the application for the bulletproof vest, and it is through the Office of Justice Programs. And then also have a matching funds resolution where the board is committing 50%, $9,783 in matching funds to the program. So just need both of those passed by the board if you wish.
Sheriff, you want to speak on that?
Well, those vests only have a shelf life, or they say for 5 years, and what we try to do is not go over that. So this grant opened up, and it takes a while, and hopefully by the time we get the new ones, then we're still within that range.
You heard the request. Anybody would like to make the motion on that?
A motion.
Supervisor Williams?
I'll
Make the
second.
motion. Supervisor Montgomery, second the motion. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
All right, thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Spencer.
Is it? We need two. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Two separate ones.
So the one to apply, and then the matching funds resolution.
I'll make the
also.
motion on the second.
Okay, so the second one, Supervisor Montgomery, Supervisor Howard seconds. All in favor? And one motion was to apply, and the other one
Was
was
for the matching funds.
for the matching funds. You need a copy, you want me to just go ahead and sign? Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see Mr. Warner here. Okay. All right, Mr. Pritchard, District 1, road improvement.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We'll say morning, how about that?
Morning, morning.
Same song, different days. We received bids on District 1 last week. May 10th. The total project engineering estimate was $1,766,444.54. 1,766,444.54. We developed that estimate based on bids we received from Supervisor Howard, which was about 3-4 weeks prior to that. We had 2 bids received. One from Phillips, one from Site Masters. Low bidders Phillips Contracting, $2,453,247.27. That's right at 39% over the estimate. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Well, we had discussed after those bids came in, and I would suggest to the board, I don't want to deny these bids at the moment, but we need to have a work session on what direction we want to go with your bids, my bids, any others. The problem is soil cement. Apparently that's the bottleneck.
Well, there's 2. I've been in several conversations, but we have a cement supply issue. We have a contractor issue in that we about down to nobody that can do that work in this area. And then we've got issue with our chip seal and the cost of liquid asphalt and somebody to put chip seal down. So to Supervisor Montgomery's point, it may be time to sit down and have a work session and evaluate how you want to proceed. Again, I've been trying to talk to these contractors, see where they are, why they are.
I have a question. You know, Phillips is the one that is currently working on Longview. Are we satisfied with their progress? And you know, I'm just asking as we move forward. You know, do we feel like that they're on the right track to get that road finished this year? There's been a lot of setbacks, I understand, but
there have been a lot of setbacks, and if the question is directed to me, no, I'm not satisfied.
okay.
We've
On that particular project.
on that particular project. Now, there's like other contractors, they have different, you know, teams and groups that they assign different work. But we were told in the spring that Phillips was going to hit that project with everything they had and get it built, and we've not seen that. And I'm in a text conversation with Blake Hill just about on a weekly, every 2 to 3 days.
Well, I know that we hear from the citizens every day, Supervisor Montgomery and myself do, about the shape of the road. There's a daycare that y'all are aware of on the road, and just it's impassable.
Yeah,
And the progress, you know, do you
we'd
think
like
it
to
will be
see-
finished this summer?
Yeah, we would. They are committed to finish within this season. We'd like to see more effort out of them. There are a few things that are beyond their control. When you get a 2-inch rain in 30 minutes and the road's at a certain stage of construction, just takes a little bit to clean that up and put it back together.
Which happened Thursday at about 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, some of these things are just part of the construction process, but we would like to see more effort out of them on the project.
I mean, it's, yeah.
Well, Supervisor Montgomery, these are your roads. What is your recommendation on these bids?
I would recommend that before canceling these bids, setting a work session in the next, I mean, even this week. Okay.
I'd like to do it this week if
If at all
possible.
possible, guys.
Just the appetite of the board.
Supervisor Howard asked me to contact our low bidder on his,
Yeah, I
our
like
only
that.
bidder on his project as to would they hold their bid for a little while until we figured this out. They've agreed to do so, and may even, John, we talked about this, take certain roads and not do certain roads, you know, to try to work within your budget. I think they're willing to work, but it's, you know, truth of the matter is, you guys are paying, you know, you're getting 50 cents on the dollar about what you're getting for your road work.
Well, we've talked about a couple of different scenarios, is bringing somebody in to grow up and build, and our road manager is here, and maybe include him in this workshop.
I think
because
absolutely.
he might can assemble a team to do some chip sealing, you know, so there are several different options, and if we package more than just one project, we might can get better bids. So I'm with you. I think we need to just have a work session this week. And
When?
When's good for
Well,
you?
I don't need, I mean, if y'all are going, if it's gonna be you three, I think that y'all need to set the date on that.
Okay. When
I don't
y'all
have
do it
anything
today?
out for bid right now,
I
so.
do it today, tomorrow, whenever we.
When's good for
Sooner
you?
the better for me. Tomorrow,
But
let's.
do
let's
we
do it
have to,
tomorrow.
since if it's a work session, do we have to, or we could
Advertise.
recess this meeting
Yeah.
and then, call a meeting back to order? And if we have a quorum, if it's just us three, or if you wanna come as
Right.
well, Supervisor Williams?
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
was
need an hour
wondering, when
your
will we
time.
get the bids?
I need an
When will
hour
we
your
get the
time.
bids for District 2 and District 5?
Well, we've
You-
not put them on the market yet. They're ready. I need about an
Yeah.
hour of your time to clarify some things.
It would be
Right.
better if before the meeting's out, Rob said, for y'all to set the date and the time, and us
Oh,
go ahead
yeah.
and announce it, and we'll, that way y'all can go into the work session, and like I said, I think just the three of you need to decide, along with Mr. Pritchard, on what time.
Would you
want
wanna, Supervisor Williams,
Yeah,
I'm asking, would you wanna have that conversation with our engineer, Mr. Pritchard, today, and we could do it maybe tomorrow?
Tomorrow, okay. I'll
I'm
have
saying
that
the
conversation.
work session tomorrow.
Right.
I could
That
do it
sounds good. That sounds good. It's okay with everyone else.
tomorrow morning, whatever y'all
Not
want.
tomorrow morning, no. I got appointment tomorrow morning.
Okay.
It had to be somewhere about like 10:30 or something.
That'd be fine.
10:30.
I'm good, yeah.
Okay. You wanna say 10:30?
You wanna do it here?
Yes, it'll have to be here.
Okay.
It's gonna be a
Mr.
meeting.
Baggett, would that time work for you?
10:30 tomorrow morning here? And then,
I won't be here, but
that's
y'all
fine.
go ahead.
And I just, because like I said, we had discussed there are some roads that we could do, you know, that are affordable and some are not. But I wanna be fair to the whole situation and kinda get the whole gamut, you know.
All right, on that same,
You know, I mean, if we need to go in together, just like he's saying,
y'all need an order
Okay,
for
so you
that?
need to, yeah, I need to.
I'll make that motion tomorrow morning.
Supervisor Montgomery made the motion to have a work session
Second.
tomorrow on the current roads at
10:30.
10:30.
Here.
And Supervisor Howard seconded that motion. All in favor?
Okay.
Passes 5-0.
On that same note, on your Harold Road Bridge, NL Carson has asked us to delay starting their contract. They are trying to order components. In times past, these precast beams and stuff are sitting on the yard. They call them up and say, we need one. Now they're waiting till you actually order. The precast didn't make it. It may be June before we get beams for the bridge. So
It's not gonna affect the price.
not gonna affect the price, but just delaying their start time, starting the clock on them because they can't get the components to build it.
That's understandable.
Okay?
Since we're on bridges, the Harris Road Bridge, there was a decrease in the price on that, it seems.
No, it was like
It
6,000.
Yeah, well, I think it was a decrease in the amount of money that was being provided for that. If I was looking at it right, I might need to look at it again.
It's set,
Look like it's about a $4,000, decrease.
From 784 to 780. I think he meant to
780.
scratch 784.
But it might be that it
It's
just
just-
don't cost as much.
it's just a rounding, state aid would
Round.
rather round the numbers to something even.
Oh, okay, that's what it is, yeah.
We did put an application in for ERBRF this next round. We applied for one bridge, Supervisor Miller, that's the bridge over Knoxville in the Morgantown area. And that total application, I'm providing you a copy, Mr. Lloyd, so you can scan it and have it, but it was right at $3,669,211.50.
And that's just one of the bridges,
That's one.
right? Of those-
That's the 90 degree.
That's the concrete bridge over Knoxville River in a 90-degree curve.
$3 million.
So, but that includes your engineering, your construction, environmental, permitting, all this stuff with it, so this is just a copy.
That's a hard bridge to construct, look like, based on specifications.
It's gonna take a new alignment. I mean, we're just literally gonna have to either straighten the road or move the bridge, and it's gonna be a heavy-duty project. District 2, District 5, you wanna go ahead and
Yes.
bid these out?
Yes.
I have order.
After our
I need to meet with
conversation.
you about an hour.
Yeah, and that's today.
Do we need to pass an order on that?
Yes.
I've got
So
to
moved.
order.
They've got the
Oh, you got it.
I've got to order that.
Yeah,
And that's all I got.
we're gonna meet today.
I do need an order to acknowledge Mr. Pritchard's
So
report.
moved.
By
Second.
Supervisor Trainer, seconded by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor?
Aye.
And can somebody go back? We didn't do one for Senator Williamson. Somebody
So
acknowledge
moved.
Second.
Supervisor Trainer, Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor?
Aye.
Quick question, have the leftover funds been returned off of the bridge projects that we had out on Sun Creek?
We've only got one, and that's the Longview Edenton, and Mr. Lewis and I are working through that.
Like 16 or something.
Will you all notify me when
Trainer, and then
the,
When I
Montgomery.
get something from state aid showing they have added it to the balance, I'll send it to you all.
okay,
But
thanks.
the total amount was $3,958 in
We're also looking, and Mr. Lewis, I apologize, I'm catching you cold.
That's okay.
But we look back, if you'll remember on Blackjack Road, y'all originally allocated like $526,000 of state aid money. You did do an order at one time when the House bill came through to provide the $500,000. And we're trying to figure out if that money got put back in your state aid account or not. So I found those board orders and Mr. Harry Lee's checking on that, but you
Okay.
might check on it too,
I
Mr.
will.
Lewis. Okay? Thank
Mr.
you.
President. See you
All
tomorrow.
right, see you in the morning.
Mr. McDonald.
Morning, Supervisor.
Good morning.
Back in our March meeting, you approved an order to proceed with design of improvements to the Octibah Lake, County Lake Dam. Based on the report that we went through with you that day, that had various alternatives and a range of costs. The next step, or the recommended next step, being to proceed with a preliminary, or what are you gonna call it, 35% design process. Look at a couple of design alternatives, evaluate the cost, do some value engineering. But the main thing is meet with DEQ and see if there's any way to lower that design criteria for design of the dam and improvement of the dam. Because as we went through our discussion, that's what's driving the cost of that, of the improvement. So what we have in front of you today in response to that board order is an amendment of the contract that defines in detail the scope of work that we would perform and the schedule and the budget. Now we have begun, we've taken the first step, which was actually to meet with Dam Safety Division, Mr. McKercher and his staff.
When did you do that? When I knew y'all were
That was-
coming, I did email him and ask him,
Right.
did he have a design from y'all yet? And he said no, he
Right.
didn't. So
Now,
when did
we
you-
met, let's see, we met with you March the 7th. We had scheduled something, we had to postpone it. It was, I believe it was the first week of April. We met and went through the report that we had presented to y'all in March. He had a copy of it, but we just sat and, gave him the opportunity to give us any comments, to respond to it.
Is that when he asked about the conduit and it being so large that it was bigger than what they were using on the Ross Barnett? It's some special something that y'all were gonna have to order, and that's when he said y'all probably need to scale it down? Is that?
Well, I don't recall that specific comment, but we did have discussions about the magnitude, yes,
Okay.
and when he saw that, and keep in mind, the criteria imposed on this design is a regulatory criteria that comes out of DEQ, and they have the discretion to impose that criteria. So I really believe that when we sat and he saw the magnitude of the improvements that would be required and the cost associated with that, he indicated, well, let's, as we proceed with design, the first thing to do, let's have a work session and sit down and collaboratively examine that criteria and see if we can, bring that down. The standard, the design standard is the same, that won't change, but the magnitude of that number, which has to do with, the number and the types of storms that you evaluate to come up with, statistically to come up with this rainfall, this catastrophic rainfall event, the probable maximum precipitation. That standard doesn't change, but he's indicated that there's a possibility we could bring the number down. And I really think it's, once he sees the magnitude of this.
Do you
So-
have any other citizens that are, waiting in this room for
Right.
you know, some votes to move forward. Do you have any idea when you're going to submit a design to MDEQ to see if they will approve that?
Well, we don't submit that design to DEQ until we're ready to approve the permit, until you're ready to apply for a permit to actually improve the dam. What we do with DEQ is sit down and have this work session, which we can do immediately once you approve this amendment. I mean, we can sit down with them. That's the first thing, in fact, you'll see in the scope is to define the design criteria. Is to have that work session and go through some new procedures that they're really have under review. They've not issued those, but they've got their new, you know, procedures under review.
And I have one last question, and then I'm gonna let others ask. So what actually are we amending? The price to you
No,
guys?
well, the original contract in July of last year authorized us to do that evaluation in response to DEQ's draft order that they had issued to look at the maximum precipitation, to do some downstream inundation analysis, to do some, they had mentioned possibly doing some probable failure modes analysis, which I think they'll back off now since we're going to do this, since you've approved going ahead with a design. And then the other thing was getting plans in place to apply for a permit to actually improve to proceed with the construction. And that's the last thing that will take place. So in response to all that, that's when you hired us in July of last year to prepare those analyses to present to them, which basically was the report that we presented you in March. That was the culmination of that. And we went through it with you, and then we gave that to them to make sure it satisfied their requirements. And so now based on your order to proceed with design, then we need to amend that contract so that we can proceed, so that you know what our scope of work is, you know what our budget is, and what our schedule is.
So this is an additional, based off what we've already paid the firm. This is the additional $254,500 to move to the next step.
That's right. This will complete basically the 30% design, and then and that will involve, as we've written the scope, 2 different alternatives to evaluate the cost and try to look at the best solution for the most reasonable. I hate to say the lowest cost, but the most reasonable cost. And then we can the end of that process will be to present that to you for your decision making, and then we'll proceed and finish the final design and construction documents. And then at that point, that's when, once you're ready to proceed with construction, we present that in an application to DEQ to approve, to basically give you a permit to implement those improvements.
I think, you know,
I was just gonna ask, what if DEQ, we get to that final step and they say, no, this design is not okay?
Well,
Then what do we do?
well,
And I'm just asking, I mean, if you're waiting to the last
Right.
thing to show them the design.
I don't anticipate that happening, because, I mean, that's the reason we're sitting down with them on the front end and going through this process. First of
They're
all,
gonna be a part of the team, Monday.
basically, and keep this in mind, they don't approve the design, they issue a permit. So what they do, they'll look at a design and say, yes, this is in conformance with our requirements. You know, there's no seal or signature that they put on the design itself, but they'll take the design and say, yes, this is consistent with our requirements. If we build it this way, the dam will be in compliance with our regulations. So yes, we'll approve your permit application. The permit's what they're approving.
I will ask one little part, in other words, refine the design parameters, and that's in the design criteria.
Right.
In other words, are we putting the cart a little before the horse on this? In other words, you've not had that work session with the DEQ. Once you get in there and you find out, and they may lower some of these requirements, standards, what have you.
Right.
With that, I guess what I'm saying is, we're paying you this $254, whatever. Are you not putting the cart before the horse before you get this design criteria that could be higher, could be lower? We're hopeful that it's a lower criteria. And when will we know that as a board? When will we know the information that comes from that? Not in the back end, or we're going to kind of hear this in the front end?
As it happens, right. Yes,
I really want that in the front end.
Right. To your first question, that is the first step. That, I mean, that is the step, that in defining that design criteria, that is the first design step, because what comes out of that, hopefully, and I expected the criteria to end up lower, the value, the numbers to be lower. So that will determine then the magnitude, the size of the, for instance, the size of the hydraulic structures that have to be designed and built. So it's not put, I mean, that is the, in your analogy, that's the horse. I mean, the horse has to be out front, and that step is what helps us define that.
Okay. I guess.
And the other question is, once we have, I mean, that's basically a half-day work session, you know, that hopefully, based on DEQ's schedule, we can get done within the next couple of weeks. But to your second question, when that happens, you'll know, we'll then feed back to you the results of that.
Okay, yeah, that I guess that's my ask is, when that happens, I'd like that information, I guess, more live than
Right.
in the back end.
Right. Yeah, we'll let you. Right. We'll report the results of that.
I guess the good news I'm hearing from this is MDEQ is actually willing to sit down and discuss maybe changing the parameters a little bit. That's good news. They're not just saying, this is what it is, this is what you're gonna design it to, end of conversation.
And that was their suggestion, that we
Sit
come
down.
to their shop, that we sit down with our hydrologist and we have that session and we look at their new procedures and figure out how we can lower this number.
I also saw in this what you're presenting today, we are looking for funding from some other sources. And I think you mentioned in this that those other sources might require something specific before they will allow, and that you've taken account for that in this contract.
Right. Anytime, and you're well aware of that, you spent federal funds before. Anytime you spend federal funds, there's a potential that you have to look at various levels of environmental investigation, and so we have, not knowing exactly what that will be, but anticipating if you do get federal funds, there probably will be some level of environmental investigation required, and that also depends on the recommended improvement and what impact that might have, the size, footprint of that, and what impact that might have on the adjacent property. So we put that caveat in there that yes, that may impact the timing, schedule, budget, whatever. And we do understand that you've applied for funding from NRCS through their Emergency Watershed Protection Program.
Yeah.
So that,
You'll make all the changes before the final design, so we won't have to pay you to go back and make changes. We have to pay you to go back and make changes after DEQ make their recommendation. So they'll make recommendation during the process.
That's right.
During the process of the design.
that's right. That's part of, yes, their recommendations, the work session
During the work
we've
section.
spoken of, that's part of the design process.
That's
Actually the first step.
That's right. That's right.
Basically,
Yeah.
DEQ will not give us a permit to proceed with construction unless they are totally satisfied that your design meets their criteria. Is that?
That's right. They've got to make sure that whatever is put in place is going to comply with the high hazard dam regulations. Right now, we're out of compliance, and they want to make sure that whatever is built will bring the lake back into compliance.
I motion.
Can you tell me what firm is actually doing the design? I know y'all aren't, because you stated here before that y'all had never designed a dam. So
Right,
who's your
we-
subcontractor
we're
doing
do-
this?
We have
Is it Schnapp?
Schnabel.
Schnabel?
Yes, we
Okay.
have engaged Schnabel to do the detailed design of the hydraulic structures. Their specialty is reinforced concrete hydraulic structures.
They're doing Ross Barnett, aren't they?
And they are working with Mr. McKercher, whom you mentioned earlier, on the analysis of the Barnett Reservoir, yes. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to work with them, because of their familiarity to DEQ and the fact they've already got a working relationship. Plus, this is what they do. We've got a lot of confidence in them.
Got a motion and a second.
I didn't hear. Do we have a
Now, a
motion?
motion.
Okay, Supervisor Montgomery, I'm sorry, Howard motions to accept the revised
Amendment number one.
amendment for the scope of work, and Supervisor Trainer seconded that. Any further discussion? I'm just gonna say I'm gonna vote no, because I believe that we could save the taxpayers money by cutting out the middle person and working directly with Schnably, who applied for the project, okay, initially. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Schaefer, Neil Schaefer, Mr. Walker.
Okay, see that, okay. Robert Walker with Neil Schaefer.
Hey.
How y'all doing?
Great.
I might have-
We're excited to hear about this. I'm looking around here so I can see.
I think I need to stay here so I can flip it. That's John. I'll make you do that, John. You want to flip it, I can just stand here. About 2 years ago, we were hired to do a transportation plan for the city, university, and county, kind of by MDOT, actually. Commissioner Taggart was still there and kind of thought it was time to do a transportation plan, and so I wanted to kind of go through that today. We've mostly finished the project. There is opportunity for input and adding projects to it, but wanted to kind of give you a thought of, you know, what we did in the project, what the purpose of it was. So thanks a lot, John. Really, and we're talking about transportation only, so we're not talking about overlay plans or maintenance, stuff like that, but transportation from a bike ped standpoint, a transit standpoint, roadway standpoint, on blocking, I'm sorry. So that was kind of the level of it. And early on, we had a initial meeting when Clyde was at the meeting, and kind of went through what we were going to do. So next slide, John. Some of the things we looked at that were asked to provide. We have this thing called a transportation model that was MDOT paid to build it over 10 years ago. And it kind of gives us an idea of projected traffic volumes. If you're adding capacity or adding a roadway in certain areas, it gives you an idea of how much traffic might be attracted to that road, or how much traffic it could take off another road. So that was a tool that we used for this. Another ask was an existing bicycle map deliverable, and I'll show you a copy of that. That was mainly for the area for tourism, really kind of to give a map that people coming from out of town could get and know where the highlights of the area were from a biking standpoint was. So also, it's multimodal. I mean, I know Jeremiah's here today from the university. A lot of needs between the city and county were talked through as far as transit services, bike and ped recommendations. We have some things out in the county as well, and then a lot of focus on roadway needs. This was mainly capacity driven. Are there problem intersections, or there roads that need to be widened, or new roads certain places? That was kind of what we started with as our scope of the project. All right, I'll go through, and I'm not going to get into a lot of details. I think I sent Clyde the previous draft, and we'll send another draft, and we've made some modifications to it. But next slide, I'll go through some bike ped stuff. Not a lot of detail. This thing's over 1,000 pages in data and stuff, so I'm certainly not going to go through all that today. But I want to give you a snippet of what's in it, so y'all can ask questions or get a copy and look at it, and then give us some comments back. So the bike and peds were kind of based on demand. The city had a lot of GIS information, as did Jeremiah, that We used the connectivity, you know, where are people trying to get to, what kind of users are there. The existing roadway plans sometimes have to do with what kind of facilities that you can put on the roadway. Speed and traffic of the roadway comes into play, whether you want the road, the bike to be on the shoulder or behind the curb, and the right-of-way available. So all of these factors kind of came into what we developed our bike and ped plan for. You can't see this, but we ended up with a recommended bicycle network. You know, it's detailed in the plan, kind of how we went through a scoring system. Had a lot of input from Edward, you know, Kemp for the most part from the city, Jeremiah from the university. So there's a lot of back and forth on that. So that's in there from a recommended prioritization as well. Next slide. And then the PEDs, and this is a lot of neighborhood info. We took the GIS system from the city, plugged that in, looked at the development of the growth areas, and kind of made a pedestrian network, recommended network as well. So, next slide. We went to transit. A lot of Jeremiah's focus was on a lot of the transit that, you know, is very important as the university begins to kind of, as most universities are kind of taking the access from the central part of Kansas campus and moving that more toward the bike ped and transits. We looked at, you know, at the same time the university was doing their master plan. We just finished that 10-year master plan with Sasaki. We were part of that team to kind of think through their growth and their strategies for not just transportation, but programs and everything. So on the transit, again, we looked at demand, the existing conditions, the reliability. A lot of the transit service goes into the city, picking up, you know, their customers and delivering back to the campus. There were some on-time reliability issues with some, obviously, congestion on Highway 12 and some other areas. Peer comparison, there was a part where we looked at some other college campuses, looked at how they do things, and a rider survey was part of that as well. Next slide. So with that, we came up with a short-term plan and a long-term plan. Short-term kind of 0 to 10 years, long-term 10 to 25. Not going to go through a lot of details. Obviously, can ask Jeremiah a lot of these questions as well, but that's in there. You know, and one of the reasons to do this plan is it kind of gives you a roadmap, and it's got cost in there as well. So then you can have something to kind of go say, all right, well, let's focus on this. Let's go try to get funding from federal funding or state funding, or, you know, there's a lot of grants out there that y'all talk about. So that kind of gives you a roadmap of not just the county, but sort of what the city's doing, what the university's doing. Y'all can kind of get on the same page. Next slide. So here's a map of kind of what some of those recommendations look like. They're color coded for the different types of routes and priorities. So that's the transit part of it. Next one. And then we talked about roadway needs. Roadway needs kind of bubbled up from the group. Next slide, John. And, you know, we were asked to look at some corridors that are there that have some issues like South Montgomery, or we were asked to look at some intersections that might be a safety issue with some schools. Whatever bubbled up, we kind of made part of this. At the same time, we looked at maybe some long-term needs, and you'll see some things out in the county for next week. Not a lot of detail, but here's just an example of one of the places we were asked to look where there's a lot of pedestrian and vehicle access from a safety standpoint. School buses come down one of these one-way streets, and kind of some sight distance issues at the same time. You've got a lot of cars dropping kids off. It's pretty standard on all the schools that operate like this. It's not something only at this location. It's happening all over the place with, you know, it's a safety deal. So we looked at that, had some recommendations in the next slide for the city to consider. So, and we have cost on all of these. So that was an example of one. The next slide, I think, will show you another elementary school on old Highway 82. It's actually within the limits of the big grant that's going to be started soon from the city. But we looked at that also from an operational standpoint. John, the next slide kind of shows some ideas on lengthening turn lanes, and then the next slide will show if, if one of the buildings was to go away, they could, stack up some traffic internal versus stacking up traffic on Old Highway 82. So these are just some thoughts, some plans that, you could put on the shelf and kind of think about when the opportunities come up for funding and time-wise. So we looked at Biden district circulation. There's questions about, is this the most efficient, is safe? We had some recommendations on that as well. Next slide. South Montgomery is always a hot topic. In fact, the city's selected us to do a more detailed study, but that was one that was looked at in this, and we did some high-level, recommendations like a roundabout at Academy, extra 3-lane out to the city limits on that. So that will be looked at in more detail coming up. So
Did y'all, on those areas, did y'all do traffic counts and stuff? Like, should that be in major corridors? And
we did. We had, and it was during COVID, which was kind of a weird deal. So we were supposed to do counts during COVID. We chose not to because actually we did, but those counts were low. We had some old counts we did from Highway 12 study that was back in 2018, 2019. We made an attempt to adjust those a little bit, but that was part of it. The analysis, all that data is in there from is it overcapacity? Is it going to be overcapacity? We projected traffic forward a little bit. So that's in there. Some of these areas are difficult. This is, right around the Chick-fil-A area, the Mill Street, Spring Street, which is very difficult. We came up, next slide, to kind of show you a couple of options, whether you put in a slotted curb to block the left turn. Gets really congested coming out at times. That's not a lot you can do with it except access control. You can, it's very difficult to buy right away. You're going to be impacting the businesses. But this is one option we came up with. Another option would be to reduce, the next slide would be put in a center turn lane, but you reduce some through lane capacity, and I think the city wanted a bike lane as well. So, and in doing that, you obviously take away some of the road capacity. So those are options we looked at with some cost. Could develop as part of the project later on from the city standpoint. Next slide, John. That's just another option we looked at. South Montgomery and Highway 12, not too long ago, the median was put on Highway 12. Some access control, obviously there were some left turns from side streets that were taken out, and you have to go down and do U-turns in some places, but a lot of congestion on South Montgomery. There's a ton of traffic coming in from the south. A lot of that goes to the University of Loxley, and that way we'll talk about that here in a second. But a ton of it goes on north through this intersection on toward the city, and there's not a lot you can do. You widen, again, you're impacting businesses. So access control is, what we recommended, some slotted curbs to keep the left turns coming from the nearby intersections was some of our recommendation. That's going to be impact to businesses. That's one of the trade-offs you look at from safety versus business impact. So, next slide. Stark Road was one of them we looked at. We did recommend a 3-lane section from 12 out to Old 82. That's become a much busier corridor with some retail development, continues to grow. 3-lane is what we recommended on that with some couple of signals along the way as well. On the next slide, we also looked at extending Stark Road. That's in the city's expansion plan. That would go up and then also have a hospital road connection over to the 25 bypass. So that's in the plan. That's a new road. Obviously, that's a decent amount of money that's in there from a priority standpoint, just from a planning standpoint, when the money becomes available. So that's detailed in the plan. There's 2 or 3 options for that. So that was mostly the focus from the city standpoint. I'm going to kind of shift to the university and give you some of those things. There was a lot of, with the 10-year master plan going on, which is good timing, at the same time, and the focus to kind of take vehicular access away from the center part of traffic. Y'all are probably familiar with the Eastern Road that's kind of, is it finished yet?
Phase 1 now, phase 2 will be this summer.
Okay, that's kind of a new route that's kind of connecting the connection out to Highway 12 down to Blackjack, and will be really utilized because ultimately the university's plan is to kind of shut Hardy off right in the center of campus, and so that'll be one of the focuses. Y'all are very familiar with Blackjack as one of the, it's almost like a university road because it is one of their main corridors to get in and out of campus and will continue to be. And y'all done a project there recently, I think, so that was a focus of it. One of the things that we looked at, trying to get people from South Montgomery onto campus, you know what they do, they come into Loxley, they go down Blackjack and they come into Stone, and it's very congested during the morning peaks. And we looked at a Loxley Road extension. It's kind of hard to see here, but you could extend that road kind of around the sorority center and tie into what they call Famous Marine Band. All the street names are changing, so I can't keep up. So
They are,
and that would kind of give another alternative to get people coming into the parking areas. In addition to that, there's some series of roundabouts on campus that they had recommended. John, go to the next slide and we've got a little more detail. Here's some of the things that were some of their priorities. The middle one shows Stone with some of the roundabouts. They've done some of these projects. They've got the Famous Maroon Band project cut through now, fairly new parking area there, intersection. There's a lot going on. On the left would be a conversion of what's currently the College View interchange at Highway 12 to an at-grade intersection. I think one of the focuses from the campus is to make this sort of a more calm intersection, not an interchange, but more calming entrance into the campus, and make that. And when you come onto campus, one of the things they want to do, and actually it's where most of the traffic goes, is take College View and connect into Bailey Howell, which would then take you to this eastern roadway we talked about a minute ago. That connection now takes you down next to the football stadium, and that's one of those roads that will be changed and modified as well in the long-term plan. So that's all part of a systematic change there. And then on the right is a George Perry roundabout. That's a Bailey Howell George Perry. Next slide. And so from the campus's standpoint, some of this, spilled out not only the campus but into the city and county as well. They had some recommendations. Hell State Boulevard is there. That's a decently used roadway, but some of the connections they saw as opportunities were Artesia Road, and it's kind of cut off on the page to the north, but an extension of this roadway that's being built that ends at Blackjack right now. They really want to extend it down to Hell State Boulevard so you could sort of not come into the congested Stone and Blackjack intersection. You'd stay away from that and come on the campus a little easier from a capacity standpoint. As well, there's one down, John. There's also a Hardy Road extension that would kind of clean up maybe some of the roundabout issues. You can't see the detail there, but we've got that detail in the plans and the concept there. A lot going on. Obviously, as the longer you wait, the more development happens. There's a lot of apartments in that area, so I think the university's thinking that we better go quickly before we block with some of these roadway improvements as things are, apartment-wise developing that way, and probably down Hell State Boulevard one day too. So Bost Road is a realignment on campus that they've talked about, as well as Bully Boulevard that actually comes out to it's the old interchange. It kind of brings you into campus. One of the problems with that is it doesn't allow the movement to and from North Highway 12. And so they've recommended, and we've looked at a concept to lay in an at-grade intersection right there, get rid of the interchange. And it'll be difficult, but try to have a fourth leg into the Mill area to give some access to the Mill and Chick-fil-A area and all that to kind of maybe bring some traffic off the Spring Street area. Next slide. Out in the county, actually, there's a couple of projects, and these are long term. This is one off Blackjack Road that would be on out a couple miles at least where you could come up and you could have another interchange with Highway 82 just to give sort of another access to that part of the county into campus as well as it grows that way. And then Bardwell Road, I think, is a meandering, difficult road to get down to Mayhew and that area, but that was a recommendation to kind of do some improvements there as a more internal way to alleviate traffic that kind of goes through campus. So, next slide. That's the bulk of what we have in our plan right now. Again, there's a ton of details. We just don't have time to go through it. I would suggest that when I'm sending the latest draft to Clyde and anybody else that y'all take a look at it. We've got time to, if there's projects in it y'all want to add to the plan, we can do that. I know we don't.
Do you have that information? The details on this?
Oh yes, we've got the whole. I can send you all 1,000 pages. So
okay.
everything you want.
Okay. Well, I don't know that we need, everybody, but I think for me, I'd like to see the major corridor areas that, impact the county, is what I would like to see. I don't know what the other supervisors would like to see.
We're just trying to get Longview Road done.
Again, the focus is just an inclusive plan where if the group is going to DC to get money, it kind of shows you all thought through it. It's just a harder argument when you kind of come in a cohesive plan. Hey, that's in the plan. Looked at that. Check. Let's get them some. That kind of thought from everybody working together. Anyway, that was it. Welcome any comments after y'all look at it. Our contract is not too far from ending with MDOT, but we've got time to listen and add anything you want to.
Do y'all have, a lot of times people ask us, like, how we determine what road we're going to pave. Do y'all have traffic counts for, like, intersections and areas? So when we do go and ask for funding, we can say, well, this is justifiable?
Typically not. At intersections, MDOT keeps their normal counts that are on main roadways, typically. Typically not on an intersection, you can do that, but we have video cameras that you can go get a count. But the model does have projections on the main corridors. It gives you an idea of growth. We can share that. But down into the smaller roads, probably not much details.
Do you have any projected analysis for out on the north side of Starkville, especially with the industrial park? At some point we hoping it'll be full and lots of employees going back and forth to work along with the people that'll be coming through that area and trying to access campus and the city downtown. I didn't see a lot on there.
We have that model I talked about is more of a big picture. That's not going to get down to the intersection level, but it gives you an idea of expected growth on the main corridor. And it's in the study. We can look at that. Here's, something like here's the count now. Here's what we expect the count to be in 2040 or something. So it's in the plan, but it's not a detailed intersection look. It's more of a big 2-3 mile corridor kind of look. So
I guess the last thing is, do y'all have any future meetings planned?
the last one I think is with. It may be an all-inclusive meeting. We're kind of waiting on Dr. Kim to see what he wants. He hasn't really presented it to the mayor, but we've talked about an all-inclusive group meeting.
If you would make sure that, the county administrative board president knows, we would love to attend.
I have just one thing. There does seem to be a problem with individuals being able to get to Blackjack community and then to get to the Octop Road community. Would there ever be a plan to bypass for those individuals to be able to bypass the roundabout and go to Blackjack a different way or go to Octop a different way and don't have to go through the roundabout?
I'm not sure exactly where you're coming from, but the Hale State showed a couple of projects that would take you in and around campus without going to Blackjack if you're coming from the south. And I guess if you're coming from the east, you can take that road that takes you through campus up to 12 as well. Not familiar with exactly where you're talking about. But
yeah. In a way, well, those individuals who are trying to go home to into Blackjack community
From city.
and trying to go to Octop, down Octop, coming from the city. Would they always have to go through?
From Blackjack on through to Octop is kind of what you're talking about.
Right, right, some kind of way to come out of the city and bypass the roundabout and still get to Blackjack and still get to Octop.
John, can you go to that slide?
Yeah, there was some things on there, but it's gonna make it be a longer trip now.
It'll be a longer trip, that's right.
Yeah, it would be a
Now,
long trip.
yeah, I saw when you go down Hale State Boulevard, at one time, and it looked like it was
Yeah.
on there.
Extending
Go
Artesia.
down Hale State Boulevard and then cut across.
To Artesia.
If they're gonna cut across straight to Artesia Road, it would be good if it would go straight to Artesia
That's
Road.
what it said.
That's a mutually beneficial thing, both for campus and y'all. So there's two things here. One is Bulldog Way, so number 2 that's highlighted, that's the extension of Bulldog Way, which is under construction now, that would go across Blackjack, across Octok, and all the way down to Hell State. So that, the whole goal with that and Hardy extension number 3 is that it would remove that non-campus traffic away from the roundabout and Stone.
Right.
But then the next slide, John, shows Bardwell, and this number 11 is actually the improvement of Bardwell from Blackjack Road all the way to 182. That would give a direct connection into Blackjack. And then number 13 actually shows the Hickory Grove, that's the intersection
Yeah.
just east of west of Hickory Grove, so all directly off 182 all the way down to Blackjack Road at the curve on Blackjack, down by the community. So I think that both of those long term
Yeah.
would give direct connections down without having even to touch Blackjack Road and Spring Street
Yeah.
on the campus side.
Of course, the roundabout, I mean, you could redo the intersection of the roundabout and take that out. That's from an operations standpoint.
Yeah. And that would be good for Blackjack. And then we talked about Octop. Octop would go down Hale State Boulevard maybe.
Good.
And cut
And
across.
actually, if you go back to the Artesia, and there's actually some support at this at the federal level of extending Artesia Road across and making, so number 1 is you extend Artesia Road across to Hell State now, which gives direct access to Artesia, so those
Yeah.
folks on Octot can go directly there without even touching the roundabout.
That's good. That's a good plan. I think if we can implement it, that would be good. Yeah.
I'll get these copies to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So that we're clear on what this, acknowledging this is, y'all are asking the county to acknowledge that these are priorities for all of us, is that correct? In other words, if we're asking for federal dollars, and I'm gonna simplify this, because I can be kind of a simpleton when it comes to this stuff. If we're going to ask for money, y'all are bringing this to us so that we understand that we don't need to have 3 or 4 asks at the federal level, because it confuses things. Is that a fair estimate of what's being asked here today?
I think it's fair, especially even with the fact that this was led by MDOT. What they've done, so this is not a campus project or a city project or a county project. They've actually taken components of this without even us asking, and they put it in their statewide STIP. So the fact that MDOT supports this, they've bought all on the concept. The same would be true at the federal level. So I think it's best for all of us that we're singing from, or speaking to the plan, because to my knowledge, this hadn't been done. And Clyde, you may be able to speak to it. I don't know the last time MDOT did this, if they've ever done it at a county-wide level.
And secondarily, if the county has a higher priority in which we want to focus much of our attention on, we need to be coming and trying to get that
They need to know
attached to
We
this
need,
correctly.
we need to put that in the plan.
All right, I just want to make it clear to my board that what's being asked kind of us is to, whatever priority we've got, make sure that we are plugging it in so that everybody's on the same page.
Correct.
Okay.
And if there's something not in the plan that we need to put from y'all's standpoint, we need that in there, so.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but you're still going back down the same old track with some of the issues you're dealing with now, with Longview Road, the raised grant, and some of the other stuff. So my suggestion, the county needs to initiate its own transportation study out in the county to determine what our priorities are. Because I think in the past, based upon my feedback from this board, sometimes we feel like a little stepchild when it comes down to the city of Starkville and MSU. We need to be in the driver's seat. And so in order for us to do that, we need to initiate our own study when we get ready to look at our comprehensive plan and some other things. Now, I think this is great. This is good. But when you get ready to go to the federal ask and get the money, then I think the county wants to have input in the money. You know, we got bit with that snake one time before with Longview Road. That's why Longview Road still ain't been paved now, because we didn't understand how the process worked sitting at the table. So if you're really serious about this, we need to get in on the ground floor, on the front end. We need to do a transportation study out in the county, do an assessment of what we think is good for the county to move traffic out in the county, you know, based upon whatever priorities we set, whether it's population, whether it's traffic count, whether it's the color of the people or how tall they are, whatever the criteria is. Once we set it and let that apply, and then you'll see some tremendous things to continue to work out in the county because of some of the growth that we have. We're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive, in my opinion, dealing with the 4-year road plan and long-term traffic approach.
Which is all, but when we look at the bids that we couldn't afford, or they came in so much higher, you know, I mean, should we do a study before we actually feel like that we have money?
Well,
you know, because what we do is we bond, and then we do all of these projects, you know, is what it appears in my 2 terms that I've been here, is we bond. But then when we come back even for maintenance of those projects, are we going to have the money to maintain those new roads and everything that we're doing? And I understand that we need to have a study, but also for us to qualify for something, it takes unity.
Well, that's true too. But in my opinion, with what we got on the table, you need to go ahead and spend that money. If you got money for these projects, even if it's higher, spend the money what you got. Because the time value of money is what's getting you. The longer we mess around with these projects, the price goes up. You can't do but so much at the subway. Just do with the money what you got. And then when you get that done and get it finished, then you come back and do another different situation. But if we keep kicking the can down the road, we got to have some kind of resolution tomorrow after we have this board meeting. Because if we don't, we costing our own sales money by delaying projects.
I agree with what Supervisor Trainer is saying. I think we need to partner. It's always a good idea. But I think what he's saying is we don't need to just be sort of thrown in the mix when we in Washington asking for federal money. We need to have identified what Oktibbeha County feel is important and make that ask too. So I totally agree with what he's saying. So we don't get caught in another one of the Longview type situations.
I'll be glad to share anything that Neil Schaefer wants as far as our things that are high on our priority list.
I think
Sure.
Mr. Pritchard wanted to say something.
Just quickly, to your point, Robert Neil Schaefer invited me to every meeting. It's hard for me to go to the table on our behalf if I don't know what you want to do. So
Absolutely.
that study is well needed. Second thing, and this falls in play too, you asked me to look at the mega grant, the inter grant, the rural road grant.
Right.
And to Robert's point, it's about 1,000 pages of documents in there on those applications. But just about item 1 on all those applications is, has your preliminary engineering been done? Have you already done your environmental? Have you done your right of way? Have you done this? We can't put in for any of those right now because that work's not done. So it's just gonna take some forward thinking on y'all part to get ready for some of these things.
Just gotta get ready.
We certainly appreciate y'all coming. I need a motion to acknowledge.
So
Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Ms. Livingston.
Did you want to go back?
Wait, do we want to get Patrick?
appreciate y'all coming. Appreciate y'all.
Patrick,
Miss
we're
you.
going to come back and get you.
Sorry I'm late.
Right on time. Right on.
Should be.
Sorry I'm late. I
Be
had
sorry.
got a good excuse, and I'll just go ahead and tell y'all because it's a proud dad moment. 4th through 6th grade awards today. Well, they sent me a text Friday saying my kid was going to get awards. She's in the 3rd grade. Said it's the first time they've ever given a 3rd grade an award for at this little deal. So we thought she'd be getting a little paper or something like they were giving everybody.
Well, she got 3 awards. She got 2 papers and a plaque. They only gave out 2 plaques, so
Look at here.
it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Proud
Pretty good
papa.
stuff. When she gets her smarts from me, so I,
Yeah.
you know,
Uh-huh.
We
I
won't
mean,
tell you, we won't tell you what.
I should know where it comes, so I should expect that. So,
That's why we gave you the flexibility to come when you got done.
so thank y'all for kicking me down a notch or two. Like I said, they didn't let me know till Friday. All right. I think everybody's got the quotes from the trucks. That's why I'm here today. We talked about getting 5 trucks to the county. Y'all should have them all. I'll just throw it out there just like it is. The last trucks I bought, which was a little over a year and a half, 2 years ago, cost about $330 a truck. Now that same truck is at $420. They have gone up 20 to 25%. Since the 1st of January, they have gone up 11%. I just got off the phone with him a while ago. They're going up 8% more at the end of this month. And after that, the NFPA comes in and they restructure everything in 3 more months. And he's guesstimating they will go up 15%. So,
Just keeps getting better and better, don't it?
the prices are steadily increasing. And that's why I'm trying to get these things locked in. It's not if we wait and keep pushing it down, we're going to be in worse shape. I think we need them now. I'm asking for 5 trucks, and the prices are there. State contract bid is with Rosenbauer. We pretty much have all Rosenbauer. That's who we've been doing business with. They got the lowest.
State law doesn't allow you to. You have to use that, right? On the fire trucks, isn't it?
Well, that's
just one company or something like that.
Yes, ma'am. It's just if you use their state contract, you're covered because that's their lowest possible bid, and so you're good to go. Which I actually went and got 2 other quotes also, just to be on the extra safe side to cover ourselves, even though we don't need to since we're using state contract, and just to see the comparable quotes. And if you can see, the other 2 companies beat them on most of the trucks except for one. The reason that the Southeast, I believe, is a little bit lower is just because of the construction of the trucks with stainless steel pipes and stuff like that. Stainless steel piping and some kind of it's a stainless steel up top, guards up top, which trucks are changing nowadays. We're going from metal to have them last a little bit longer, the piping and stuff.
This is from state bid, though. I did catch that part. I'm sorry, I came in kind of.
Yes, sir.
How many tankers, how many pumpers?
I need four tankers, and I need 1 pumper, which we got to get 1 pumper every year. That's just the way we're set up to do, because our 15 years, every 15 years, one goes out, and to keep our standard, our rating, we have to get 1 a year. So our pumper, we got to have. The 4 tankers is what I'm asking for, because if y'all remember the last board meeting, I got 3 trucks. I got 3 departments that don't even have a tanker. They're gone. I mean, they don't have one.
All right.
So it'll take over a year for the trucks to get here, and you'll have your funding allocated by then?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And that'll lock the price in at what?
Lock it in a day.
All right, you've heard the motion. He has the funding.
I'll make a motion.
Supervisor Montgomery makes the motion. Supervisor Trainer seconds it. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Warner.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Ms. Livingston.
I got a couple of things. I handed it out to y'all this morning because I just got a word with it on Friday that on our court reporters,
Yeah.
we this sheet right here. There was 3 phases that we went through, and City Hall went through. They approved phase 1 and phase 2. And we're asking for City Hall to come in and approve the phase 3, which will, I have 3 court reporters, and per year it's going to go up to $3,913.02. And the reason that we're coming to you to ask for approval of this is we're in dire need of court reporters, and our 3 court reporters have been. People are coming to them offering them more money.
I'm sure.
So in every other county, if you can see, Chickasaw, Clay, Knoxville, and Webster, they all went in and done their all 3 phases. And those are little counties. And we're waiting, they're gonna go to the, Lowndes County to get approval for them, but I'm coming to Activity Hall to ask on behalf of my 3 court reporters if we can approve that 3rd phase for them.
And to back that up, I had 2 judges contact me last week and basically say that if we do not hire these people, back this up.
Well, if we don't give them
Give them a
this,
raise.
then
I
they're
mean, I'm
gonna.
sorry, give them this.
Well, it's been how long ago now? Is it 2 or 3
The
years?
order was done in 2017.
Well, I remember, gosh. So
Yeah.
I remember when they came in here and told us the exact same thing as the court reporters. I thought that board order that we put in place would do the phases 1, 2, and 3 automatically.
No.
So I don't
So
see
it's
a
an
problem.
increase of $108.70 per reporter per month, correct? Okay.
Correct, which is $3,913.02 for all 3 court reporters per month. And then if you'll, no, I'm sorry, $39,1302 is yearly.
Per year, okay.
Per year. It's $108.70 per court reporter.
Okay.
And that will get them up to where the other court reporters are being
We need to
paid.
keep them.
And we need them.
Need to
Okay,
keep 'em.
you've heard the
Motion.
request.
Second.
Supervisor Williams makes the motion. Supervisor Montgomery seconds it. Supervisor Howard, do you have anything?
No,
Oh, I
absolutely
thought,
not.
okay. All right, all in favor?
Yeah.
Motion passes 5-0.
And I thank y'all for that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have about 7 affidavits of publications for over things that we've done, like District 1 roads. I just need a board order if I can consolidate all of them together.
So moved.
You heard the request. Supervisor Montgomery makes the motion. Supervisor Williams Howard second it. All in favor? Motion passes.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
I have 7 proof of publications of stuff that we've done to put out there, and that's all I have.
Okay. Ms. Farmer.
The county administration business, we have 1 through 6. If you have any questions, you can ask me now on those, or you can just do one board order to cover all of
I
them.
make motion for approval items 1 through 6.
Second.
Supervisor Montgomery makes the motion. Supervisor Howard seconds the motion. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I have a couple other things.
Okay.
We have a deputy with the sheriff department investigation that will be retiring this month, May 27th. We need a board order to sell him his weapon.
So moved.
Rick Sharp.
Okay, and is that what?
Rick Sharp.
So moved.
Rick Sharp, and Supervisor Howard made the motion. Supervisor Montgomery seconded. All in favor?
I don't
Motion
know,
passes.
in the past, if we have actually put the amount in that order for a dollar, you got it, okay.
$1
Okay.
is selling his weapon for $1. Mr. Rick Sharp.
Also, I was contacted by Mr. Jim Jackson of the hospital on Friday afternoon. He's wanting to schedule a combined meeting with this board, the 25th, 26th, or 27th, whatever day will work for you all. Of those 3 days, I need to get back with him and let him know. So May 25th, 26th, or 27th
Of this month.
of this month.
25th, 26th, and 27th, I may be out.
What is he talking about at the hospital?
Yes.
Or what time?
Say whatever,
Yeah, right before.
they're gonna work with you all, whatever you all say, I'll tell them in there.
Can we do it later afternoon on the 25th?
I'm gonna be out during
Okay.
that time.
He's gonna be out.
Could it be after that
I
time?
can, those the dates he gave me, but if that don't
This
work.
is during
I'll
this is during graduation
Yeah,
time.
right
so
before the
people
holiday.
won't be-
I'll get back with him on
people
that.
won't be
Okay.
going to-
When we do get this date, and we have more than y'all, I wanna make certain that it is published, so that we have the
Right.
proper documentation.
Sure.
For that, with that approval, if that's okay.
Okay, and one more thing, the Memorial Day services, that's gonna be here on May 30th in front of this courthouse at 11. Mr. Jeff Donald will ask in either the board president or vice president to speak, and either will not be here on that day. Is there any other board member that will be available to speak?
I think I've already sort of volunteered. Chris Taylor called me. They were putting together the program. He needed to know, so I told him I would agree to go ahead and do it.
Supervisor Williams, Supervisor Montgomery?
I said, I'll be gone.
You gonna agree to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, Marvin, he's gonna do it.
Supervisor Howard's
Yeah,
gonna do it.
I went ahead
You
and,
can do it.
Chris Taylor called.
I wish I could. I have a grandson that graduated during that time, so I'm gonna be traveling
seen it,
to
yeah.
see my grandson graduate.
Okay, Supervisor Howard will, do the memorial.
Okay,
Day service, all right,
and that's all I have.
okay. County Attorney,
All right.
property tax.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have, when we bought the Lynn Lane property, we got a credit, on our HUD, and y'all have copies of the HUD and all that. We have got to pay, we got a credit at the time, so this is technically not money that hasn't already been, we got credit for.
We
paid
have to
it.
give it back.
We now have to pay it to the tax assessor, so I need approval to get that paid. Now, that being said, there is, because it didn't get paid immediately, and I need to get with the tax assessor, but my motion that I would ask y'all to do is to pay the original amount that is due, and let me find out, because this is prorated, correct?
Prorated.
We don't owe the taxes from that point that they've added to it plus the interest. So I'm gonna get with the tax assessor, but we need to go ahead and get them, paid.
So moved.
Second.
No, you still president, you got to sign.
All right, so, motion by Supervisor Trainer. Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, now county supervisor business, garbage can pickup, of trash cans. So we talked about this a little bit in the work session, that we did with the city, and just covered it briefly. The citizens that have now been annexed in have those trash cans, but from when they were county residents. So but now the city is picking up the trash and they supply bags, not cans. So, the question is, do we have the county pick up those trash cans or do you leave them?
What does our contract say in relation to Golden Triangle Water Service?
Can I speak?
Sure, absolutely, I'm sorry.
Mary Ann and I spoke, just to clear things up, because I know there was some conversation earlier about it, so just kind of let you know what the conversation was. Those trash cans belong to, solid waste, Mary Ann. If we allow them, the citizens to keep them, the county is gonna have to pay them for those trash cans. So somebody's gonna have to pay for it. Now, here's the problem. It was brought to my attention that now the wheels are on them. It's hard for the county supervisors to pick them up because you probably can't stack them. Well, the guys are not running those routes anymore. So that's the dilemma of us finding out at the last minute. Had we known, they could have picked up the trash and the trash cans at the same time. So I think they ran the route the first week of May because we found out at the last minute. But I don't think they're running the routes anymore because now they're city residents. So the dilemma is who's gonna pick them up.
My
They're
suggestion,
probably gonna be full of garbage by now.
By now, they probably
Well, you need
are,
to time
but
it
the
to
city-
where the city picks it up, say on a Tuesday, then you need to be, somebody needs to be right in there behind them.
I don't think the city pick up those cans, do they?
they don't have a
They don't
truck.
have a truck.
They may go inside the can and get the bag. that
Right,
they go.
well, I'm just saying when they pick the trash up.
My suggestion is if Mary Ann wanna pick them up, if they can, let them pick them up.
Okay,
Because see, if not, then yours truly gotta pick them up, cause I'm the one putting them out.
yep.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't see where it ought to be my responsibility to pick up
Their
somebody else's
property,
can.
their property.
Now, if we cannot let the people have the can because we can't let them have public property, then my suggestion would be to let them keep the can and bill them $1 for the can every month. For can use if they want to use it. I mean but now if our policy won't allow that, because I don't think there's a policy that guides us on what we want to do. But my question would be, do not do nothing. If they want them cans, let them go out and pick them up.
Okay.
Well, I would say just have them to run the route one more time. I mean, that's because they full of garbage, so you know, they might just have to sacrifice running that route one more time and picking those cans up because they know where they at.
But do y'all want to use cans? If they pick up a can in my district, y'all want to use them to give it to folks in y'all district?
When I don't have a can, yeah, I'll do it. I'll clean it up.
But well, you need to get somebody that can clean them up now.
I mean, I'll do it myself. I've done it.
So, I
But
mean-
now, like Supervisor Trainer saying, you're our 2 reps on the garbage board, and whatever is agreeable, you know what I mean? Can you take that to the, to the Golden Triangle?
Well, I've already talked to Mary Ann about it, and she seemed to think that the only way that those cans be maintained in those locations, that someone had to pay for them, that the county can't, that Golden Triangle Waste Management can't give cans away like that, so they're gonna have to be picked up.
But can they come pick them up?
Well, Golden Triangle Waste Management have picked cans up before, so I would think they could. So we could ask that, don't you think, Mr. Howard?
We can.
How many cans are we talking? Is that the number 129?
129.
Okay.
Well, it may be more than that, but that's the ballpark figure.
I mean,
but if they want, I don't have a problem with them picking them up.
And I'll be honest with you, if this is too big of a problem, I'll come pick about 20 of them up. I mean, really, and clean them up and take them when we don't have any.
They'll work with us, and we'll present that and see what the solution is. I think it just, you'll have a matter of having to pay some guys to run the route that we're not actually receiving any money for anymore, and the Golden Triangle is not, because we're not. But anyway, I think we can work it out. We'll report it and come back and see. But we do know that they have to be picked up.
They have to be picked up.
Okay.
Or they have to pay for them.
Okay, so what we've decided is we're going to let Waste Management pick them up if they're.
We'll discuss.
Or you're going to discuss it and come back to the board.
Is your next meeting Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah. Just and report back to us what they tell us. But that's a good
Today,
idea.
there's no decision on this board behalf until you all meet and then you
Well,
come back.
I think Supervisor Trainer is saying just that. It's their property. He's asking for them to, and I think Supervisor Howard's a combination of things. If they'll go pick the trash up that's in the cans, and then have Golden Triangle come back right, you know what I mean? Somebody right behind them picking them up, then I don't see a problem with that. That's what we're asking. That's what we're requesting.
Let me ask this: if they saying they'll do it, but they're gonna send out Duval County a bill for that,
Oh, they're gonna bill us because they don't run those routes
right?
anymore.
So I'm asking, do we give it a go ahead?
Is it bill us for the pickup or bill us for?
Yeah, for actually running that route and picking those cans, because they gotta pay somebody to go run a truck, have men.
I would ask you to look, like Supervisor Trainer saying, look at what's in the contract, because we're not telling them they can't have their possession. They're gonna have to come pick up what's theirs. In other words, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I'm trying to think of a fair thing here. Is if they want their possessions, then come get it. But you can't charge us for coming.
In all fairness to them,
come
I
picking it
think
up.
this should have been done a little bit differently. They should have had notice that this was fixing to take place, and not the evening of to say annex is now in place, so y'all figure out what you're gonna have to do with your cans. In fairness to them.
Yeah, I mean, I get
but
it.
we'll work out something.
Yeah, it's been going on for 3 years now.
But now the annexing was a
Everybody
all
knew-
around. We
everybody
didn't
knew.
know
What about
where the
building?
annex was gonna go. So
We knew that.
just see what they say, I guess, and let us know. Text us, email, what have you. What comes out of that meeting. I'd like to know right then.
And while we're talking about annexation, I hope the board will allow the county to continue to keep those roads graded in the annexed area. I think there are some gravel roads we've been grading, and I'd like for us to continue to work along with the city to provide whatever services we need until they can enhance and upgrade the road. And the number one service they're gonna need is probably a little gravel and maybe grading the roads every now and then until they get those roads paved.
It looked like I saw it was only 2 roads and 1.2.
It's not. I think the whole road, the total amount of roads they accepted was like 2.3.
I mean gravel, the gravel section.
Yeah,
of it,
not
I think.
very much. Not very much.
Okay,
So-
what about the,
So let-
billing?
So if you will, I'll make a motion that we continue to partner with the city to maintain those roads until further notice. Those gravel roads until further notice.
Second.
Discussion on that is,
Do they have graders, the city?
No, they don't have graders.
and I was gonna ask,
They don't
I
have
know
no
they don't
way
have a grader, but could we ask the city to help with some of the, I'm trying to help not only
Fuel
you, but us
costs
to
or
purchase
No,
some gravel.
I just like to keep doing like we're doing. They're county, these people are county citizens too.
Okay.
So it's not gonna cost us any more money. We're not gonna lose any more money. Cause we're not taking on any more road miles or anything. If you need the specific roads, the roads are gonna be Barbecue Road, Biggs Road, no, correction, Biggs Road, isn't it? Barbecue Road, Lakeside Road. And that's it.
Barbecue and Lakeside.
Thought I just saw two of them that's still gravel.
Your Barbecue and Lakeside.
Barbecue's a quarter.
West Sand Creek.
Not a quarter of a mile.
Barbecue, Lakeside, and West Sand Creek.
Okay.
Which West Sand Creek, I think, is still in the county.
It still
It's still in the county. It's still in the county.
Okay, you heard the motion of Supervisor Trainer, the roads that were listed because they're gravel and the city does not have a grader, continue to grade those roads that were recently annexed. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Supervisor Williams, second staff.
Grade and maintain. So that may be putting gravel on or whatever we need to do. So we have to put some gravel on. We'll go ahead and do that too. Just continue to maintain those roads.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay, the billing of the annexed residents.
Yes, so I spoke with Jennifer, and because she did not get noticed in time to separate out those residents, we will be billed for May, because they sent the notices to them. They were ready to go out by the time we found out, and they didn't have enough time to separate them out. So the billing part has been taken care of. But they'll bill us one more time in May, I'm thinking. I'm expecting.
How many outstanding bills do we have in that territory?
Now that I don't know.
What happens to the outstanding bill?
Now, they understand anything prior to May first, they will still owe the resident. So if they had a bill with the county prior to May first, they still owe any of that. But as of May first, they're city residents, and they should start paying the city.
All right. We had a public library trustee appointment. That was somebody that came out of my district, so I was just asking, I know we've had one gentleman that they have submitted, but I wanted to see if there was anybody else in the district that was interested and bring them back. Would that be okay that we wait until next board meeting to appoint somebody to the library, public library board?
I don't have a problem with it. I think one of the questions from my understanding was, does that person have to come out of District 4? Or can that person be
Well,
someone?
it's, don't we normally
As long as
have?
they live in the county.
Okay.
But, yeah, there's some things I would like to ask whoever's gonna be the, appointment on our public library.
Can we discuss that a little bit, because I heard something about the person resigned because of some books
Yeah,
that's in the
I just
library?
received a call from him and he said that he disagreed with, some of the children's books that were in the library. I have not seen the specific books that they were, but they were being displayed in the cases. And so he did, resign from that position because he, disagreed, with what was in the library, some of the things that were in the library. So I have no direct knowledge of what those books were, but just that he did give me a call.
And, this is the person that is interested. I may give them a call before I submit a vote, because I would like to know their feelings about that.
That person that resigned came from your district?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Roy Smith.
Is that okay if we wait till next board meeting?
I don't have a problem.
Submit some names
Yes,
and
ma'am.
make a choice, okay. All right, if there's not anything else, we will adjourn until.
Recess.
We got some county business.
Recess until,
Tomorrow.
We got county,
recess.
additional county business.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I need to go to the restroom.
So,
One reminder real quick, Mr. Baggett, tomorrow we have the waste soil bid opening at 10 that you will want to advertise. That's at 10 tomorrow and it's scheduled for here, and I know the workshop is at 10:30. So you just come here at 10 and then stay for the workshop.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Couple things. One, I need an amendment to my 4-year road plan to do how much, what's the footage of it?
I'm just trying to get y'all taken care of.
Probably 350 feet.
You have to do this.
How much?
Y'all need to meet the
About that much, couple hundred feet.
Probably a couple hundred feet, of,
2 days,
what would you say that is? Road repair in Macon. I've talked with Rob about it, and that is, city property.
Sounds like maintenance, don't it? I mean,
Yeah, it's more of a maintenance deal, but, you know, I just wanna make sure that.
it's
that-
in on our side.
It is. Yeah. So that's good there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll make a motion.
I make a motion that we allow our county to go in and do maintenance on that road.
I'll second that. Well,
What road?
Madam Chair, I'm so
Yeah, we
sorry.
need to
I
wait till
was
she
not
gets
here.
back.
It's Turner Road.
Turner.
Is that right there by the cemetery?
Yeah.
since she's
No,
out.
no. Turner is right there on Main Street, right off,
We still
just
discussing.
right there on off Second Avenue, I think.
Might as well wait.
Yeah,
Back on field.
What's y'all's thoughts about the city as far as Hospital Road, what they want us to do on Hospital Road? Have y'all given it any more thought?
Well,
Man, the way these
I-
bids came,
I wasn't in the meeting, but I mean,
I wouldn't
I'd
either.
be glad to. I mean, we can discuss that tomorrow in the meeting. I mean, if
They got some money
I don't.
coming.
I mean, if they're like you said, they're county residents just because they live inside the city. So I mean, I think you were going to use your 4-year road plan anyway. Are they going to try to match that, or do you?
Well,
know?
on the Hospital Road project and on all the projects, they want at least a 50% match. So I think we had some, and that's just something to talk about. I mean, we ain't got to make no decision on it, but I want to put it on your mind.
Okay, all right. Well, we, like John said, we'll discuss
Yeah.
that tomorrow. then.
And the one that's in Collier, we already got that taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't but like
Okay, so,
15,000.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Howard, I apologize, I had to step out.
No problem,
You
no
made
problem.
a amendment to your 4-year road plan to
Well,
repair.
no, we actually just gonna do it on maintenance.
I'm sorry?
We authorizing our,
Okay.
Yeah, it's just maintenance.
it's just maintenance, yeah.
Okay, maintenance?
Yeah.
Okay, and so what was, do we need to?
Authorizing our county to do some maintenance on Turner Road in Macon.
Okay, on Turner Road. Supervisor Howard made the motion, Supervisor Montgomery seconded, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
And one other thing, I need a motion, well, I wanna make a motion to allow our road manager to go take a look at Bunton Road, runoff coming from Bunton Road into a community to determine, if there's something we can do and if that's being caused by our road.
second.
You heard the motion, Bunton, B-U-N-T-O-N, Bunton?
B-U-N-T-I-N.
Benton Road, Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Trainer, to look and see if there's anything we can do. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Supervisor Trainer, did you have something?
Yes, I think we may need to go back and revisit our decision we made concerning our workshop tomorrow. It seems to me as if there's a little concern from our attorney, and I see Mr. Players out there too. I know they had a discussion. We may need to look at
I would
delaying that
prefer
meeting.
it'll take us 2 days to get this out, and we
Yeah.
probably could put it out on the, I mean, it probably would be okay, but frankly, if somebody wants to show up, having 12 hours notice is not a whole lot of, or however, 24-hour notice, it's not a whole lot of notice. So if you can, if it's not gonna harm what y'all are doing, let's do this on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. That way I can make certain that everything is posted, and,
Can someone contact Clyde and let him know?
I'll call him.
So, 10:30 on Wednesday? Is that the new? I don't care.
Is it good for you?
Yeah.
I usually go to
I can do
daytime
earlier.
Bible study, but
I can't
guess
do
I'll
earlier.
postpone.
If you don't change the time,
You don't do
I
9
can do
a.m.
something like 9, it's fine.
That's fine.
Early in the
Wednesday.
morning.
That's fine.
well, that'd be better for me.
Okay.
Okay,
Tentatively,
so they
Clyde can
changed
do
the
it.
time for the road workshop to Wednesday at 9 o'clock?
Right at 9
This
o'clock.
Wednesday at 9
Yeah,
o'clock?
here in the boardroom.
Here in the boardroom.
Clyde actually said he would prefer it to be moved to Wednesday. Anyway, he just texted me.
Okay.
Boy, that's the way it was.
All right. Anything else? Supervisor Trainer?
No, ma'am. I see we got this legislative update that's in our packet here. For those, I think they have another legislative update scheduled for Thursday at the Hub. I think at 7:30. I think Senator
Where's
Williams
that?
will be there, Representative Robinson will be there at the HUD, which is the old Cadence building.
Okay, yeah.
Old Cadence building.
I was listening to the city meeting on the live thing, and Mr. Slaughter brought up that he had met with you last week about redistricting. Is that something you
No,
want to
not
share with us?
redistricting. What happened was Mr. Slaughter came in town on Friday for his meeting with the city. He called me early in the week, and he indicated that he was gonna be in town. So what I did, I had a meeting with him over at the office, him and myself and Mr. Lois. And Mr. Slaughter's perspective, as far as I'm concerned, is that we need to look at the possibility of updating our comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan we have now was completed in 2014, and we need to update it. I mean, it's an 8-year-old plan that needs to be updated. And so I think our board needs to strongly consider updating our comprehensive plan. I know we've charged our attorney of getting some RFQs concerning comprehensive planning services, but we're not going to have to start over. What we need to do, we need to update our comprehensive plan. And so if we decide on whomever to do that, that's something I think needs to be a priority. And in lieu of this transportation plan, I think we need to do it expediently. So we need to consider updating our comprehensive plan.
Okay, and Ms. Farmer put a copy of that in your pack if everybody wants to review that.
And maybe
Anything else?
we can make a decision on the next meeting or whenever, if the board decides to go that route. That's it.
Okay, Supervisor Montgomery.
I just want to thank Mr. Howell for getting Longview Road. I mean, it's not perfect, but just, keeping it passable this weekend when we got those floods. So appreciate it. And that's it.
Can we do a vote on the motion to amend to May 18th at 9 a.m. real quick, I think?
So moved.
Trainer.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Okay, Supervisor
Yeah.
Williams.
Well, I have a couple things. I have a gentleman who is in the farm business, and you know how farmers are. They need a wider cover than just a 20 or 30 foot cover. This person needs at least a 40 feet cover. So it's not adding a cover. The cover is already there. So we need to replace that with a 40 feet cover.
I don't think they make a 40-foot one. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know they don't. So we do have two options in relation to that. And that's what I guess Mr. Baggett could maybe give us some information on that. But if we install a 30 feet cover, there are some throwaway pieces on the yard that we can put 10 feet onto it. It wouldn't cost the homeowner anything, of course, but if we put in a 20 feet cover, the homeowner would have to pay for a 20 feet cover. So no matter how we install that cover, it's well not gonna cost the homeowner something in the replacement process. So I'm asking some type of recommendation from Mr. Baggett in terms of how do we normally move forward in relation to that? Do we add some pieces? Do we add that piece to a 30 feet cover? Or do we ask him to pay for a 20 feet cover because we have put in a 20 feet cover?
How big around's the culvert?
I haven't seen it, but
You don't know the
It's
diameter?
a regular size, what you normally put in.
sometimes we have 30-feet covers that we don't need the entire 30 feet, and we will cut 10 foot off of it. I mean, I can't make a decision, but I hate to see the man purchase an entire cover. Those covers are expensive.
You want to go look, come back to us and let us know?
Ask me that question again.
I said, would you like to go and address the situation and look and see what you have on the yard and come back to us with a solution at the next board meeting?
Well, I'm certain I have it on the yard.
You have some scrap on the yard.
I'm certain of that.
I just make a motion, we go ahead and authorize the installation of the culvert on the property owner of
Bill McGee.
Bill McGee.
So are we gonna do 2 10-foot extensions? Is that what you're saying, or one 10-foot? One 10-foot extension?
We have 30-foot pipe.
Put a 30-foot pipe and then get a piece of scrap and put on it. If not, they'll crush the culvert in all the time.
Okay.
All right, to use a piece of scrap pipe to extend Bill McGee's culvert. Is the motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, now, there are individuals who are asking for covers, who've been living in houses for years, but have not had a cover. So, it seems as if those individuals would deserve a cover. So, what's our policy gonna be for those individuals who've been living there for years and now asking for a cover, and have not had one?
Is the culvert, in other words,
Is it a 911
say
road
them,
or a county
is
road?
it on a county
Well,
road?
I'm sure it's a county road.
If it's on a county road.
If it's on a county road,
And
yeah.
say it's an old metal culvert.
That's a replacement. He's not talking about a replacement.
Yeah, not a replacement. These individuals who failed to get a cover, you do have those situations out in the county. There are individuals who trying to get home and can't get home because for some reason they've been neglected and have not been given a cover. So they're just wading through the best they can to get there.
I was gonna say, did they have to buy a culvert or
They should
or
not.
in other words, how do they get across the county road? Is it just some dirt there? Is it a?
Best they can. The best they can. That's why they need a cover.
Do you want them to go
They
through the
need a cover.
process that we have in place for a new culvert? Send them through
Yeah.
Mr. Lois to fill out that
Well,
application?
my question is, what is gonna be our policy?
Well,
So
our
we
policy
can.
is you either go through the build permit or you get a board order. I mean,
Right,
that's
that's
what the
it.
policy is, so, you know, you either come to the board and you request a culvert, just like the one for Barron Road last week. That particular person is gonna live off the grid on her property, and so she's in a tent, and so she isn't getting us, so I asked for a board order for that. So I think it depends on, but that's our policy, and it always has been. I think that's according to the state auditor. Is that correct, Mr. Baggett, that we're supposed to have some type of record like that, or?
I think if he comes to the table.
Take
and it's
pictures
something he's
and
checked
then
out,
per.
I think you're exactly.
Yeah, I mean, all you gotta do is tell us
Okay.
the address and we'll get a board order for it.
I just wanna know our policy in relation
How
to
many-
that, because we do have situations like that.
How many? I'm just asking offhand. How many are you talking? 6 or 8, 4 or 5, 1 or 2?
Well, I don't have a count on it. I'm just giving that as an
Yeah,
example.
that could apply to anyone in the county.
Not just me, that's right, I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about what is gonna be our way of doing it.
Well, the way I view it is, in other words, say that piece of paper right there is your property, and you need access to that piece of property. If there's no culvert, and this is county road comes on this end, and you've already got a culvert right here, and you got a home, well, then they ask over here for another culvert. I say, well, if you have a second entrance into your property, then you have to buy that culvert. Excuse me.
That's
But
what we do.
you know, if you have no culvert here, then we'll just put one where your driveway's at, or give you access to land if you have no other access to it.
And we have lots of roads that, have never, had ditches on them. And as the grader comes down over a period of time, they cut lower and lower each time.
Cutting into the culverts
Right.
too.
You know, well, cutting into the area in front of the house, there's not a culvert there. And over a period of time, it does become somewhat of a challenge for that person to get in and out of their home.
Well then,
And
yeah.
so the road's never been ditched, and in the process of doing that, it requires develop the need for a culvert.
And we talked a couple of different things. And one scenario is if a person is building a home or moving in a mobile home, a new dwelling,
Yeah.
and they request a culvert, they supposed to go through that site development deal.
Right, they go
Because
through
they're gonna be
site
installing utilities,
Right.
sewage and stuff like that. The other one, there's another scenario. I've got a couple of people been asking for culverts, but it doesn't require a culvert. It's a dry ramp because that's sort of a crown, and the water actually sheds both ways, and a culvert make it worse. But what you're talking about, you talking about existing homes that's been there that has developed the need for a culvert now. So I'm wondering.
I'd say they need a culvert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
I would
any
think
issue.
so.
We've never said no on a culvert when
No.
you come to the board. Just bring it to the board.
Well, I'm just saying the way we have requested cover for people to access their property. But what I am saying is if there is a home being built, mobile home being moved in, it throws them into a different, and then they supposed to go through the site development scenario. That's all.
Okay.
But I
Supervisor Williams, do you
think
have
we
those
just,
addresses?
in this situation, we just authorize them to get some covers, cause they've been there and they've developed.
Yeah,
a
they've
need
been
for
there and
cover.
they've developed a home there.
And I don't like the fact that we have all these steps to, in other words, if I'm building a home and we have to get involved with the health department that's in the site development, I don't like that. I mean, there are a lot of people will call, hey, I need a culvert at 101 Main Street, whatever, right? Well, then you've got, you explain all the things that you've got to do for us to be able to approve this culvert. And I wish we weren't, I understand why we are, but I wish we weren't so involved when it comes to giving someone a culvert on a county road. But
I'm just saying that's what's on the books.
It just is right what it is.
It's more than changes.
But
Well, giving a covet is an important step, because once you give a person a covet, there's a lot of things that they can do as a result of that and bypass some of the regulations that have to be eventually implemented. Like, to see the health department or work things out with the health department, that has to be done anyway. Either they're gonna do it on the front end with us, or they're gonna do it on the back end. Because they can't get potable water until they have justification from the health department that they have told the health department how they're gonna dispose of waste material. So it's gonna be a stop somewhere down the line.
Well, I understand where the health department, in other words, they've got to know, hey, I'm putting in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, mobile home or house, whatever, that you need a treatment plant so big, so much field line. I understand all that. What I don't understand is how, and I get where the health department's probably somewhat overwhelmed, is that to give them a culvert, that we're kind of the stop point or the middleman between that. I don't see how they're related. I understand it and respect the fact that that's what we've got to do.
Can we in this case then just authorize our road manager to go and determine whether need has developed for existing homes for a culvert?
And come back to our next board meeting with some addresses, and I don't think it'll be a problem getting that done.
Okay.
Let's move forward.
Is that the motion to authorize him to?
Not mine. I think we need to stay with the way that we are. And that way we always have documentation on what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to do it. I think, we've got something that's been working and we don't say no. We just bring it to the board and say this person needs a culvert. So that's my thought process on it. And
I like that.
Supervisor
I
Williams
like
can
that.
bring all of those addresses to the board. And
No, I don't want to do that. Because I don't have those addresses.
Well, it's time.
We have to do it as we see
Okay.
need for it. And that might not be, but it might not be in it now. But I'm just saying, in the future, if we have that situation, this is the way we're gonna continue to do it, the way we've been doing. Bring it to the board and ask the board to authorize a covet for this particular site.
I don't think it's not working. And I think that keeps us in the parameters of what I think audit wants us to do. So,
Yeah, okay. Well,
anything else?
continue like we are. I am asking that a sign be put up to indicate where a church cemetery is located. This sign has been developed by the church, so it's no expense to the county. Have developed the sign, it's just that the church need the county to put it up so we won't put it in the wrong place to obstruct view and have, make sure we get county approval in terms of where it should go. So I'm asking that the sign department assist with putting the sign up on Parks Road.
Is that normally done on right of way?
It's on right of way, yes.
Is that
County
normal
right of
though
way.
for us to put those signs on right of way?
Yes.
Like a cemetery?
Yes.
I'm just
Well-
asking because I know on South Montgomery, somebody bought a lot and there was a church sign, but it wasn't on the right of way, it was on her property. You know, and then she removed the sign, so that's the reason I'm asking, is that something normal that we do? Do we put cemetery signs on right, I'm just asking, I don't know.
This is a new one on me. I'm
Yeah, the sign should be put on private property.
Yeah, I got a cemetery that's on John High Road, that's on, the signage for it is back off our road on private property.
But now we got other things on right of ways, brick mailboxes and some other things that citizens have put on that
don't need to be there anymore.
that don't need to be there, but some of them are still there because the citizens, we don't know until after the fact. But now in this case, he's asking for us to do it.
To put the sign up?
And that's a whole
To
different
assess
situation.
what
To
putting
assess
it
what
up,
putting it
yeah.
up.
If it meets the board approval, I will find out if there is
Please, yes.
some problem with it or any issue with it, and come back and report back to the board and
Please.
see if it's okay. I don't honestly know.
Okay. When can you get that
I can get this,
information?
I may can get it by Wednesday, whenever
By
y'all are
Wednesday,
here.
okay. Okay.
It shouldn't take me that long to figure it out.
One additional situation, thank you, Rob. Additional situation is there's a blind drive on Blackjack Road around the Helix apartment. When you go down that hill, there's two driveways that two elderly ladies are trying to get out of that driveway. They are asking that we put up a sign that says blind drive, like we normally do. But of course, I don't know whether the state controls that or whether the county has the authority to put that sign up, that we can allow Mr. Baggett to put the sign up that basically saying blind drive, so those elderly ladies would not get hit as they come out of their driveway. And they have been asking, they ask me all the time, give me some help. In fact, she came before the board, if you all remember, requesting help for that. So really it's a simple ask. It's a blind drive type sign or whatever Mr. Baggett seems to be appropriate, but we need to put something there.
Okay. What's the road, and we'll go ahead and get that motion made. That's Blackjack and?
That's Blackjack in the front of Helix. It will be around in the front of, around Helix apartments.
Okay.
Okay, you got a motion by Supervisor Williams, got a second by Supervisor Trainer to add a sign that says blind drive or something, for the residents. All in favor?
Oh, let me
Whoop.
Yeah.
Back up.
Yeah. Friendly amendment. We would like for that sign to have some kind of lights on it, a blinking lights on it. And not just a sign, because when those people go over that hill, they really, it's too late to slow down then. So I don't know, can you speak to that any in terms of whether or not that's a reasonable request or not?
Well, it's a real dangerous spot, and could I get with the county engineer, he just finished the road, and come up with something with him? And that's what I would like to do.
Okay. So a friendly amendment that Mr. Baggett will communicate with the county engineer and come up with something appropriate.
Okay.
Would you want to increase patrol by the university on that stretch? Because they can increase the patrol, they can write tickets and slow them down. The university can.
Well, let's do that, but let's move forward with this signage here, because I do think that there are some legal issues involved since she came to the board and asked for help. And we don't give help and she get hit. People.
Well, I will tell you, they slow them down in certain areas on Courthouse, and they do a great job.
182 too.
So
They slowed them down right there by, yeah. Like
so,
you say, in Clayton Village,
I would think that would make your citizens feel good too,
Yeah.
if there were tickets that needed to be addressed at these.
Let's do that with
I
a
will
different
say this.
motion, but can we carry this motion through?
Okay. Yeah.
That
Motion
Mr.
and a second.
Baggett and Mr. Pritchett will communicate with each other in terms of coming up with something appropriate to slow that traffic down at that
Yes, sir.
location.
Okay, got a motion and a second on the floor, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0. All right, the next motion is,
The next one won't need a motion. All you gotta do is make a phone call.
yeah,
Make a phone call.
okay.
All right. You'll finish
Supervisor
taking my
Williams,
wife out
anything
to
else?
lunch for her birthday.
I do got one other quick thing. Can we get with Joe, can we contact Joe Max Higgins and the link and have them to come give this board an update on the
Yes.
industrial park? I know they have meetings, but we're not always privy to those meetings. I would rather for him to come sit right here and update this board on what's happening out there in the industrial park and what's the projection and
Yeah, where we're at.
headed, yeah,
I'll give them a call today.
okay.
And please find out when we can meet with the hospital, because I tell you what, we need, well, never mind, as soon as we can, after the holiday, we need to meet with them.
Yeah, after graduation.
After the
and all
holiday.
these
After the
graduation
holiday.
activities over with.
All right, if there's no further business, we're gonna, whoop, okay, Mr. Baggett.
Okay, just a couple of things. The moisture we talked about getting last time, I need to go ahead with that, either by advertising or direct purchase from state contract. I'd like to do that.
The mulcher, you say?
Mulcher.
I thought we decided, did we?
Talking about the one that do the limbs?
Did we not take action?
We did, but it was part of a part of the whole that was talking about advertising.
Okay.
And now, I think what he's asking is it can be allowed to be purchased from.
State contract.
Either way.
Okay, so he's asking for the mulcher to be purchased from state contract.
So moved.
Got a motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Williams, all in favor.
I have
Motion
one
passes
quick
5-0.
thing, one quick thing. Right there where Houston Thompson Road's at, you know where the pavement
Oh, yeah,
and it's on the paved portion
yeah.
where the gravel ends and the pave begins, that first, 400 or 500 feet?
Yeah.
Can we get those low hanging limbs? That's my motion on
Okay.
Houston Thompson.
On Houston Thompson, that the county go in and cut the low hanging rims, got a motion by limbs, not rims. Got a motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Williams, all in favor. Motion passes 5-0. Any more, one more minute, one more thing.
I need to advertise to have Step Creek closed for 5 hours on the 24th and 5 hours on the 25th. We need to install some crosswalks, big crosswalks.
You need to what?
Yeah.
Advertise, put it in the paper that we're gonna close those roads.
Okay. Road closure advertisement, the roads are
It's just Self Creek Road.
Self Creek Road
On the
for
24th and the 25th.
24th and 25th for 5 hours.
Yes.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery, all in favor. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Baggett. I make motion to adjourn until Wednesday.
Recess.
Recess until Wednesday at
9 o'clock.
9 a.m.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer, all in favor. Motion